Hi, in today's video we want to talk about functions. What are functions? A function is a mathematical relationship between two sets of numbers, often referred to as the input independent variable and output dependent variable. Each input value corresponds to exactly one output value. In this lesson we want to talk about how to identify a function and what type of function it is. So first we're going to start off with the vertical line test. So the vertical line test helps us to determine whether we are working with a function or not. So how does it work? Given a function, let's say this parabola like this, if we draw a vertical line at any point within the domain of this function, we should only intercept the function once and only once. So no matter what function or what graph you draw, like that or like that, wherever you draw your vertical lines, you can use your ruler for this as well. It's only supposed to intercept the function once and only once. So the vertical line test is used to test whether we're working with a function or not. So it is the test that is used to identify a function. And if we have something like this, we see that for this vertical line we have two points on our vertical line that it is intersecting with our supposed function. This means that this is not a function, and we refer to these types of graphs as a one-to-many. So from the definition here, we know that each input value corresponds to exactly one output value. So whenever we have one input value, one input corresponding to many output, then we know we are not working with a function. So here for a given input, we have two unique output values, which is incorrect. This is a one-to-many type of function, and we say that this is not a function. So in terms of actual functions now, what would be the difference between a linear type of function like this and a quadratic type of function like that? Now we get into the horizontal line test. Now a horizontal line test is used to test whether we are working with a one-to-one function or a many-to-one function. So we're gonna start off with the one-to-one function by drawing a linear function over here. We note that if we draw a vertical line at any point on our function like that, we intersect the function only once, which means for each output we have one unique input. So one input corresponds to one output, or rather output corresponds to one input. So now the opposite, or not the opposite, but the other example, which is not the one-to-one, would be the many-to-one function. And the best example of this would be our quadratic function, where if we draw our vertical line, we intersect the graph at 2 points. This means that for one output, there can be two different inputs, which does not mean that it's a one-to-many type of output, because for any given output, we can have more than one input corresponding to that output, but we cannot have more than one output for one input. Hopefully that makes sense. Always think about the order of input to output. So 1 to 1 is a function, a many to 1 is a function, but a 1 input to many output is not a function. Many input to 1 output is a function, and 1 output to 1 input, or 1 input to 1 output, is a function. So these two tests help us to determine whether we are working with a function or not, and whether that function is a one-to-one or a many-to-one type of function. But this only applies when you're given the graph graphically.